Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty powerful idea about human nature, one that's inspired by the sharp, kind of unflinching insights of Machiavelli. See, life rarely comes with a warning label when someone's being deceptive, so let's explore how to see the signs for ourselves.
So let's just start with this idea because it flips our entire perspective on its head. What if deception isn't some unfortunate exception, but a fundamental part of how people operate? Driven by their own self-interest. Machiavelli would say that just accepting this possibility is the very first step towards seeing things clearly.
So, our starting point has to be this major shift in perspective. Instead of just defaulting to blind trust, we're going to start from a place of simple, clear-eyed awareness.
Look, most of us operate with this default setting. We want to believe the best in people, and that's not a bad thing, but it can leave us wide open to manipulation. And as Machiavelli saw it, the cunning and ambitious, well, they exploit this vulnerability without a second thought.
Now, this isn't about becoming some cynic who trusts no one, not at all. It's about cultivating a cold, clear awareness that lets you see things as they actually are, not as you wish they were. It's the difference between being a pawn on the board and being a player. Okay, so let's dive into the first and, honestly, the most powerful tool for cutting through all the noise. People will say whatever suits them in the moment. I mean, words are the easiest mask to wear. But their actions, well, they're grounded in reality. And right here, this is where you see that gap between the performance and the reality. Someone can talk all day long about loyalty or friendship, but their actions are what tell the true story. Words are cheap. Consistent action reveals absolutely everything. This is the question you have to start asking yourself, like constantly. A single inconsistency might be nothing, right? But a repeated pattern, that tells a story. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about using observation as a practical tool to see where someone's intentions and their behaviors just don't line up. All right, let's take it up a level and see how this all builds. We're now looking beyond the obvious actions to the subtle, quiet signs of hidden motives. Treachery rarely announces itself with a big bang. It just kind of creeps in silently. These are those little traces that betrayal leaves behind. People who are planning something often try to mask it with way too much charm or generosity, or they might subtly try to make you doubt your own judgment. A trained mind learns to connect these seemingly small dots. And this gets right to the heart of how manipulators work. They weaponize feelings. They know that our emotions can totally cloud our judgment. Flattery, guilt, fear. In their hands, these aren't just feelings. They are tools used to push an agenda, usually at your expense. This one simple question, it acts like a spotlight in a dark room. Who benefits? If someone is encouraging you to act a certain way, who really stands to gain? Asking this over and over helps cut right through the veneer of friendship to see the real motives hidden underneath. Okay, so now that we can spot the signs, we need to learn how to proactively gather intelligence without revealing our own hand. This is where observation becomes a real weapon. See, listening isn't a passive act, it's an active hunt for information. When you maintain a strategic silence, you give other people the space to fill that void, and they often reveal way more than they ever intended. Silence. That becomes your most powerful tool for gathering data. This quote just perfectly captures the essence of Machiavellian patience. By gathering information silently, you build up the power to anticipate betrayal and move with precision, while everyone else is just reacting blindly to the chaos around them.
It's also possible to subtly test loyalty over time. After all, true character isn't revealed in moments of comfort, right? It's revealed under pressure. How someone chooses to act when they're faced with inconvenience or temptation, that paints the real picture of their allegiance.
So what do we do with all this information? Because knowledge is totally useless without action. But that action has to be calculated and strategic, not emotional and impulsive. This is the final step. It's about reclaiming your control.
And there's a world of difference between reacting and acting. Reacting with emotion just hands your power over to the person who provoked you. But acting with discernment, patiently, and with clarity, that's what transforms you from a pawn in someone else's game into the architect of your own life. Acting with discernment really means deciding who gets access to your energy, to your plans, and to your trust. It's not about being arrogant. It's about survival and efficiency. You learn when to act, when to step back, and maybe most importantly, when to let someone expose themselves fully. And this is the ultimate takeaway. This journey, doesn't end in cynicism. It ends in a kind of empowerment where you're just no longer threatened by deception. Because when you can finally see the game for what it is, you're no longer a piece to be played. The only question left is, are you watching closely enough?